Remember, everyone who supports me on Patreon got to see previews and work in progress shots of the figure as I made it. If you want to join them, just donate. The link is in the description below. Happy Halloween, everybody! Quite a while ago, to challenge myself and make something from a franchise I never did before, I made a Sans figure from the very popular game Undertale, a game which I sadly never had a chance to play. It is getting a console release, but as far as I'm aware, only the PS4. If it gets a Switch port, that would be awesome, and I'll finally be able to play it. But making Sans meant that it was pretty much inevitable that eventually I would have to do Papyrus, and with the upcoming holiday, it just seemed to be the most appropriate time. Now, last time I messed up Sans' color scheme by making his slippers blue, when it turns out that they're supposed to be pink. So this time, I used a minifigure statue, which I believe is official merchandise. I saw them selling something very much like this at Comic-Con, so I think I have an official color scheme for him, so there shouldn't be any mistakes this time. Alright, so let's get to making the toy. You can thank Pixar and Mattel for the base figure this time. This is Hector, from the upcoming Coco movie, which is, Pixar's new movie. Yeah, it's basically just a 6-inch tall action figure of a skeleton man, which is kind of perfect, don't you think? See, it seemed almost perfect timing. I mean, sure, this very skeletal Halloween-y themed action figure line would come out in October, which is probably the ideal time to release it, but for our purposes, it's the perfect Sans base. So first I had to make the head. Now, fortunately, it seems that the hair sculpt was a separate piece, so it was possible to peel the head off and leave behind a bare skull, which was symmetrical, although covered with glue scars, so all that stuff had to be sculpted over to make the head nice and smooth. Also, I had to improve his jawline. After all, Papyrus has a very large, heroic jaw, and Hector's skinny little chin just wasn't up to the task. The torso wasn't too big a deal. I removed the little suspenders from inside. They were just a softer plastic piece, and then carved away the shirt to look more like a crop top, which left the spinal column and the hips exposed, and allowed me to sculpt Papyrus's armor over it. Now, I had to take an unpleasant compromise for the shoulders, because I didn't want to sacrifice the outward articulation of the universal joints, which means that the shoulder pads don't really look quite as round and contiguous when his arms are at his side. This is unfortunate, but it was really the only way that I could think to allow him to still have all of his posability. Of course, once everything was painted up, I used little bits of craft foam to, at the base of his armor to create that look, that look. And, yeah, that's really starting to look like Papyrus, isn't it? Maybe the legs are a little bit long, but whatever, it still works. The hands were actually pretty simple. I just sculpted his little mitten-looking hands over the finger bones, and again, a little strip of craft foam on his wrist to make it look like the gauntlet look. And then big giant boots. Yeah, Papyrus has these big giant boots, which I sculpted over Manuel's tiny little skeleton feet. Sculpting over a skeleton. Seems pretty simple when you think about it. Alright, let's take a look at the completed Papyrus figure. Spooky, creepy skeleton send shivers down your spine. Haha. Yep, and that is the completed Papyrus. The only real flaw of the figure is that the hip joints are hell of loose. He has a tendency to flop over, although he can stand surprisingly. He can lean forward quite a bit and still stand, surprisingly enough. If anybody knows how to tighten universal joints without completely fixing them, let me know, because I know how to fix ball joints easily enough, but universal joints are a lot harder. But still, he carries all of that Mattel articulation, although the figure really could have used knee swivels. Like, they could have just put round pegs in there and he would have had knee swivels, but they chose square pegs instead. Anyway, this means that the brother duo is reunited, which means we are not doing the genocide storyline, and that's a good thing. Alright, once again, happy Halloween, everybody. This is Wakeangel2K1 signing off.